Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood. You're watching The Political Vigilante. Great to have back Dr. Victoria Dooley, who, as she just said, Bernie surrogate, doctor, big Medicare for All proponent. So I wanted to talk to you about two things. First, we're going to talk about the vaccine first, and then we'll talk about, if you have the time, what we need to do to get Medicare for All in the middle of a pandemic. But before we get into that, so I get a lot of questions about the COVID vaccine, and I wanted to have you on the show because you're a physician, and I wanted, and I like and trust you, and I want to just give this information to my audience because some people have some concerns. I'll just give you a little back. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I was vaccinated as a kid with mumps, measles, whatever. I never get the flu vaccine. I've never gotten it because I just I'm healthy. I'll be fine. I let my immune system handle it. I firmly believe COVID is real. I've been wearing masks and all this stuff. I had some hesitation initially, maybe 6-7 months ago, because I'm like, man, this vaccine seems like they're rushing it really quickly, and it seems like it'd take longer to find a vaccine. And then I'm hearing, and you can obviously elaborate on this, since this is part of or a kind of connected to SARS. They've been researching this for 10 years, and then this is a new type of vaccine. So I feel a little less scared about it, but I still have some questions. And obviously I'm not going to get it because I'm not going to get the vaccine initially, because I will get it eventually, but I'm not in the group that's getting it offered. I won't be offered it. I should say, I won't be offered this until much later, because I'm not
younger and healthier.
And I have no pre-existing conditions. So explain to us what this vaccine is, what's in it, how it works.
Sure. I understand your hesitations, and I'm just going to say off the bat, I've gotten both doses of my vaccine. I was a little bit anxious about it, not because I thought it was going to put microchips in me or turn me into a zombie or anything like that, just because, you're right, it's a little bit new. You're getting this new vaccine. So, of course, I had a little bit of anxiety about it. Not so much anxiety that I didn't want it. And now that I've had both doses and I'm up to my 95% effectiveness, I'm feeling super happy and super excited, and a lot better than I was at the beginning of this pandemic. They talked about essential workers and how we're heroes, but then hospitals weren't giving enough personal protective equipment, PPE. Some essential healthcare workers were getting paid cuts instead of extra pandemic pay, so it was a mess. So as an essential worker, I really didn't feel appreciated. But when this vaccine came out, unfortunately, in the area where I live, I was really happy with the state and the healthcare system's rollout for healthcare providers, because I don't go into the hospital every day like some doctors. So I thought that I might be way down on the list. So they got it out quickly to the healthcare providers, and that's what made me feel appreciated. Like, finally, somebody sees us as essential. They're making sure that we are first in line to get this vaccine. So it took that to make me feel like an essential worker. And so, as you were briefly touching on, the technology for this vaccine is not brand new. It's not like just a year ago they said, oh, you know what, let's just come up with some new technology for a new vaccine. This is technology. The mRNA technology has been around for a long time. It's just that this pandemic brought about an opportunity and a sense of urgency that, hey, we can speed things up. Not we can speed things up because we've never had this technology before. We can speed things up because there's a huge need. So that's why it moved fastly.
So just to clarify, it already existed, and when you said speed things up, meaning the testing and production of it was sped up because
of
the
urgency? Testing and production and the approval process.
Okay.
But the technology was not something that they rushed to put together. The technology was just there. The red tape, the bureaucratic red tape as far as the trials and the approval process, that part was sped up. So you had the volunteers in the study who had the vaccine, and they had the data from that, right? And then people like you shouldn't have to worry that much, because people like me have been even more. You people want to say guinea pigs. We're not guinea pigs, but we had the people who were in the vaccine trials. These were people who should be admired, people that I'm thankful for, who signed up for these clinical trials and were part part of these studies. And then you have the healthcare workers and essential workers who get the vaccine first. So by the time it comes to the younger, healthier people, there's going to be a ton of people, millions of people who have been vaccinated before them. So if people in your audience are similar to you, younger in age, they don't have a lot of pre-existing conditions, by the time it's their turn, there's going to be even more evidence and proof that it's a safe and effective vaccine. And I tease on social media sometimes. Two of my girlfriends kind of tease me, have you turned into a zombie yet? They think that the virus, the vaccine for the virus is going to start the zombie apocalypse. So I check in with them and say, hey, I'm still here. Haven't eaten any brains today. So I just tease them. So, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling optimistic. And it really was just like pretty much tons of other vaccines I've had. I didn't have a lot of huge symptoms afterward.
Okay. So that's good to know. And well, I have several. Well, first of all, so the fact that they, as you say, got rid of some of the roadblocks in terms of the approval process, did that were you concerned about that maybe even they're rushing the trials too much? Or
I wasn't concerned in it that I felt like they were really intentionally giving us something that wasn't safe. Again, I had a little bit of anxiety just because it's something that's new and everything has moved so fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
We found this virus and all of a sudden, we went on this shutdown. The governor of Michigan has been doing a ton of shutdowns, unlike some states. And so there was a shutdown, then we opened back up and then we shut down again. So everything has just been so new. This whole past year has been so new and traumatizing, right? For many people, because we have a government who's not doing anything for us. So just the stress of going through this stressful time. And hey, this is something that's new. Yeah, it gave me a little bit of anxiety. And I'm completely honest about that. But it didn't give me fear to the point where I felt like I was too scared to get it, or fear that I felt like this was some type of scam from the government or the pharmaceutical industry, some type of scam to put chips on us. So it wasn't fear, but it was anxiety, just like you would have anxiety about anything that's new and moving fast. But it wasn't based off of fear. It wasn't based off of I did not trust the trials. I did not trust the process. Yes, the process was moving faster than it usually does. Yeah, maybe a little bit anxious, but not so anxious that I didn't want to get the vaccine.
Okay. And then what about too? I mean, there's obviously there's a history of the Black community being tested, given, used as awful guinea pigs. And so there's people that maybe, and very justified in the Black community, like, whoa, wait a minute.
There's a lot of reasons for the Black community to be distrustful of the government, to be distrustful of the healthcare system, to be distrustful of the police, to basically be distrusting of everything. So I get that fear, but studies show time after time that Black patients have better health outcomes when they have a doctor that looks like them. And this is not to say that there's no white doctor that takes good care of Black patients. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that because of all this trust, because of implicit bias, things like the Black maternal mortality rate being 3 to 16 times higher than the white maternal mortality rate, the things like Henrietta Lacks stealing her cells and using her cells for experiments, Tuskegee instruments, the Tuskegee experiments, all these reasons that we have to be distrusting of the medical community are some of the reasons that we have to be distrusting just being Black in America, right? It's stressful. So when Black patients have a doctor that looks like them, it is easier for them to trust them and establish a good rapport with, and they do have better health outcomes. And what some of my patients are telling me of color, and it's not just all Black patients are fearful of the new corona vaccine, right? There's some white people, Black people, there's people of all races who are a little bit hesitant to get it. Mm-hmm. But what some of my patients of color who look like me are telling me is, because I don't have the vaccine available in my office right now, I don't know when I will or if I ever will, is that, doc, I trust you. If you get the vaccine, I trust you, but I want you to get it. I don't want to get it till you have it in your office and you can give it to me. And I understand that because I've established rapport with these people. When they bring up their concerns, and this is patients of all color, when they bring up their concerns about the vaccine, I address them in a non-condescending manner. And I validate it. As a Black person, you have a right to be distrusting of X, Y, Z. And so when I talk to them, it's easier for them to relate because I'm living the experience that they are living being Black in America.
Right. Okay. What do you say now to some people who have said, you know, I was always in favor of vaccines, then my kids got vaccines and some of them have had health effects or they became autistic or whatever. What do you say to those folks? Not necessarily with the COVID vaccine, but are just have seen firsthand that some vaccines have caused serious health issues in their own kids.
There's a couple things. You can't convince everybody. I'm pretty good at changing the minds of a lot of people who come in my office, and my medical assistant will ask them if they want a vaccine and they'll say no. And she'll kind of jokingly say, they said they didn't want the vaccine, but you're probably going to change their mind, because I've learned how to be pretty convincing. But I've learned that I can't convince everybody, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. So everything in life is risk versus benefit, right? When you leave the house to go to work, you're risking that you may get in a car accident, get struck by lightning, get eaten by a zombie. You're taking this risk, right? But the benefit is you get to work and you get the money that you need to pay your bills to feed your family. So everything in life is risk versus benefit, just like in medicine. So I explained that there's nothing that you can do that's 100% safe, right? There's people who have toxic effects from taking over-the-counter acetaminophen or Tylenol. There's people who get in trouble because they're taking some herbal or cleanse. So nothing is without risk in life. And also, association does not equal cause. So that's why in medicine we like to practice evidence-based medicine and have a certain amount of data that meet some scientific standards, right? 100% of people, 100% of people who die drink water and breathe air. So can we just make a blanket statement that drinking water and breathing air kills you? Nobody should drink water or breathe air because it kills you. No, but 100% of people who drink water and breathe air will die eventually. So it's just because something is associated, if you have a side effect around the time of the vaccine, sometimes it is from the vaccine, but sometimes it's just coincidence. A great example, when you get the flu vaccine, I know you don't, but when people get the flu vaccine, when do we give the flu vaccine? We give it during flu season. Once you get the vaccine, it takes 2 weeks for your body to develop the antibody and immune response, right? So we're vaccinating millions of people with the flu vaccine during the flu season. So there's going to be a ton of people who get sick within that 2-week window, right? Because we're vaccinating you within flu season. So you went to work, your coworker had the flu. That reminds you, you got to get to the doctor and get your flu shot. You get the flu shot the next day or a couple of days. Within that 2-week window, you get the flu. So you think it was because of the flu shot, right? Because it was associated. You had the flu shot. But no, the flu shot wasn't even effective yet because it takes 2 weeks. You would have gotten the flu even if you didn't get the flu vaccine. But because you got the flu vaccine, now in your mind, you think that the flu vaccine caused it. So I like to explain to people that association does not equal cause. And I don't like to, dismiss people's concern who personally know people who have had bad side effects from anything. But bad things happen to good people all the time. Viruses, just having a virus, not having the vaccine, can lead to horrible problems like Guillain-Barré, which partial paralysis, Bell's palsy. Just having certain viruses can cause these things. So just because it happened around the time of a vaccine does not 100% mean that the vaccine caused the problem.
Okay, so let's talk about, I want to know more about how this RNA, was it RNA or mRNA? How is it?
mRNA, which is not the same as DNA. It is not changing your DNA. So yes, mRNA.
Explain to us what that is, this process, and how it's different from like a traditional vaccine.
Okay, so we have a lot of different vaccines. Some vaccines we have that are what we call live, which is you take the shingles or measles live particles and you kind of weaken it to make it less likely to give you the illness, but to make you have enough so that your body can build up antibodies. And then we have most of the vaccines, which are not live. We're not giving you any live flu. We're not giving you. So there's different vaccines now. Work kind of different. How this technology is new is, but this vaccine, it doesn't give you the whole, the whole coronavirus particle or whatever. It gives your body instructions on how to make antibodies to the spike protein. So the messenger RNA, the M stands for messenger, is giving your body a message, right? A message to say, hey, we need to produce this protein so that you can make antibodies to it, So when you get the real thing, you already have the antibodies. It is not doing anything to change your DNA. It is not DNA. It is basically instructions. It's a blueprint for your body to learn how to do the job to make the antibodies that you need when the real coronavirus comes. And the exciting thing about this mRNA technology and all the coronavirus vaccines that we have good data on right now, because there's a couple new ones, we're talking about mainly Pfizer and Moderna, which are the two that we're given right now, is that even though they have different degrees of preventing severe coronavirus, the mRNA ones are about 95% effective. Even the new one, the Johnson & Johnson one that has a different mechanism of action, even though it's not 95% effective, it's only one shot and it's more like 74% effective in the US. 0% of the people in the trial who got the vaccine have died. So getting the coronavirus is horrible. You're going to feel, I personally haven't had it, but I've known people who had it. You can have long COVID when you're sick for months, your hair's falling out, you're getting miserable. So getting coronavirus is horrible. But the key is, if you are unfortunate enough to get it, you don't want to die. So what I think is really cool and super, super exciting is, even though all these vaccines aren't all 100% effective or even 95% effective, the data we have so far says that nobody has died that's been fully vaccinated with these from coronavirus that's been fully vaccinated. And to me, that is super exciting. That's why we have to lock down cities and states, because too many people are sick and have to go to the hospital and they die and healthcare providers get burnt out. So even if some people still get coronavirus, but you're not getting so sick that you die, that's going to have huge ramifications for how we can keep things open and function as a society.
Right, because obviously, as you know, like in Los Angeles, that there's no hospital. The number has just finally come down a little bit, but there was almost 2 months or so where there was no hospital beds. I mean, none.
Yeah.
And
I had a patient who was in California, and she said she went to an ER and they said everybody was a coronavirus patient. She was there for non-corona symptoms. They drew some blood. They didn't even give her the results. She said she didn't see a doctor. Somebody said, you know what, you're going to be here forever. If you want, you can just go home and we'll call you back if your results are abnormal, because the hospitals were so overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. The people that, don't understand or don't take the like social distancing measures seriously is, it's like, okay, so just so you know, if you get in a car accident, fall down the stairs, have a stroke, a heart attack, the hospital's maxed out. They can't help you. I mean, that's what was happening in California, in LA. I mean, they were just like putting people in a gift shop. Like, it was nuts. Right. So that's why a vaccine, just people then they could still get sick from COVID, but it won't be so severe that they would need to go to the hospital.
Absolutely. And so that is huge. So we have the Pfizer, we have the Moderna. There's only so many doses that they can get us in so much time. Hopefully the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is going to be approved, and that's not the mRNA technology. What that uses is, it uses a virus that is commonly people are exposed to. It's a virus that causes the common cold, an adenovirus. It uses the virus as like a vector to help your body make the antibodies to coronavirus. Okay, so they use a different virus other than coronavirus to train your body to make antibodies that will protect against coronavirus. And that vaccine is only going to be about 74% effective, which compared to the 95%, it seems like, well, I don't want the one that's 74% effective. I want the one that's 95% effective. But because there's such a shortage, you're not going to be able to pick and choose which coronavirus vaccine you're getting if you're in line to get it. You just got to take whatever they can give you. So if you are going to be somebody who gets the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, I think it is very exciting, even though it's not 95% effective. It's only one dose. So you won't have to go back in 3 or 4 weeks and get the second dose. And that so far with the data that we have, it's been 100% effective in keeping you out of the hospital and keeping you from dying, which is I think most people's hugest concern, right? You don't want to die from coronavirus. Of course, right. You don't want to get it, but if you do get it, you don't want you or your loved ones to die from it.
Oh, well, Dr. Dooley, this is so informative, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at grahamelwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.